You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. So, we're now going to be joined with Chris on the telephone. Firstly, thank you very much for joining us. If you could introduce yourself and also let our listeners know about the recent project you're involved with.
Yeah, hi Dan. It's always nice to have a chat with you and an interview. I'm Chris Foulds. Some people might know me as chairman of the local charity Seal, which is, of course, still ongoing. We've got our first management meeting in a couple of weeks' time where we're going to sort of sit down and finalise projects for this year. But the reason I guess you wanted to talk to me about is a new sort of venture that I've started at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what it is just before Christmas, the old council building in Trinity Road, which is known as the Master's House, has got, should we say, tenants that do certain organisations in there with regards to young people, also other sort of business organisations that do business start-up advice and hubs and things like that. In particular, on that side of it, the company called Innovate, which is the business hub and the business advice organisation. I know Andrew Dealey, and I have done for a number of years, and we are sort of both trustees on the Dockyard Church in Bluetown. And we got into sort of discussions, and I contacted Swale Council with regard to, because Andrew has been very pushed for time in what he wants to do, and to also manage the building as a whole, as building manager.
Right.
So, the situation at the time was Innovate as a company are the landlords for Swale Borough Council for that building. And he was sort of working on his own as a company director. There is another director involved, but he's more of a silent director. It was sort of discussed with Swale, with officers from Swale and myself and Andrew, and it was agreed that I become a director of Innovate, which I am now, and purely take over the role of building manager.
So what are you planning to do there?
Well, initially, Andrew's idea for the building was a business hub where people can come in, get advice on starting a new business, getting sort of marketing advice and promotional advertising, start-up, advice, and all that sort of business. And Andrew was quite keen for me to be involved in that way with regard to my profession as a professional bookkeeper and doing tax returns. I have a list of clients myself. So the idea was to sort of have people come in, chat to Andrew about certain aspects of starting up a business, then come along to me in my room, and I can explain the whole rigmarole, shall we say, of the tax situation and how it works, and self-assessment tax returns, and a little bit financial advice. So that's sort of like the seed of it. But then this opportunity come along. I was very keen to see that building work successfully, and I have been for quite some time. And like I say, after initial discussions with Swale, it was agreed that I'd become director. I'd take that role on, whereas Andrew concentrates on the business advice and start-up side of things for Innovate. For my part of Innovate, I take control and organise the building as a whole and the rental of the rooms and things like that. Now, there's a number of rooms in there. It's a little bit like you can get lost quite easily when you're in there if you're not too sure where you're going. But I think need to stretch your boundaries a bit more. It needs to be a community building, which it is as far as I'm concerned. I think the aspect of bringing people in to start new business and give them advice and potentially giving them an affordable rental workspace if they need it, it's there on the table. And I think that sort of ticks the community box in that effect. But also, you've got to remember there's quite a large hall on the first floor. There's some projects that I've got in mind for that are being worked on, and things like that. So apart from the ground floor being, shall we say, the business advice centre, which is still sort of building up, there will be an opportunity for local organisations and groups to hire out a conference room in there, quite a large office,
right,
which will be redecorated with a pull-down screen and a projector, use of a projector, a board, for notes and things like that, for their own meetings, and that'll be hired by the hour or by the evening, and that's just got to be finalised. There's also a very small room now that's just being worked on, which is going to be rent a desk. So if you don't need to rent a room for the month, an office room or a studio room in the building for the month, there is the opportunity for, if you want to rent it for a couple of hours, just rent a desk, bring your laptop in, do the work in peace and quiet, just for a few hours a week.
Was there anything else you'd like to let our listeners know about or get over to them about the building?
Yeah, I mean, it is a Grade 2 listed building. It's some fantastic interior decor in there, especially in the reception, which is the whole building is really having a big facelift at the minute. So it is quite a lot of work to do. When you sort of go upstairs, I mean, there's a large kitchen as well area, which is going to have a makeover. I'm seeking to get the financial side of things sorted out and the funds for it. But that will also double as an internet cafe. Now, saying that, the internet cafe, we have got the computers ready and set up. So we will be doing an internet cafe on the ground floor in the coming weeks. That will be set up as a temporary basis until the kitchen's done. With regard to the hall, currently there's a guy there that does classes for kickboxing, MMA, and he's usually there in the evening. But my vision is to start using the hall as well on a Saturday during the day and have craft fairs, computer fair, indoor fairs, even boot fairs, indoor boot fairs, to bring the public in. The internet cafe's obviously open to the public, and when the kitchen's done, that could be a community cafe as well. Some for people to come and have small meetings if they wish, and have the use of the internet.
So if our listeners would like to find out more, they think it could be of interest to them, how can they contact you, and is there somewhere online they can find out a bit more as well? Yeah, absolutely. They can, to start with, if anyone is interested in hiring any space, being it renting out a desk or renting out an office, on a monthly basis, or a studio space, because I don't class them just as offices, I class them also as studios. There's people up there already that are renting, that are doing certain crafts in their rooms. And you can get hold of, there's a new Facebook page that's just been published called Master's House, which is quite easy to find, which is, if people are still not too sure, it is the old Swale Council building in Trinity Road. And you could also contact me on 01795 88 3737. Chris, as always, it's good to talk to you here at BRFM. Thank you very much for letting our listeners know all about that. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Dan.